I'm tired of being musically profiled in Ubers. Getting the Uber, I think it was like Pop or something was on. Man, as says hello, doesn't even ask me, he just changes the radio. First song, All Eyes on Me by Tupac. He plays Many Men, right? 50 Cent. Right now, I'm starting to realize there's a theme. Then he hit me with the Stay Scheming. Bro, you gotta go pull Stay Scheming way off the pack for Ross and Drake. And I had enough when it got to Not Like Us. Like, you totally profiled me and said, this is the music this guy's like.
For years now, people have been demanding that ESPN get Crying Ryan Clark. Oh, Ryan's crying. For years now, people have been demanding that ESPN get Ryan Clark off their TV. At a network filled with disgrace, Ryan Clark is without a doubt the face of disgrace. At a network filled with insufferable personalities, Crying Ryan is the face of insufferability. Believe it or not, Ryan Clark has been working at the worldwide leader in woke since 2015. I'd be willing to bet most of you guys didn't know that. Hell, I didn't know it until I looked it up earlier this afternoon. I didn't know he had been working there that long. For the first 6 or 7 years, Ryan Clark was essentially invisible. No one knew who in the hell he was. At the time, ESPN was implementing their diversity program by promoting huge embarrassing failures like Bomani Jones or Jamel Hill, Katie Nolan. For most of those years, ESPN's premier NFL analyst was Mina Kimes, also known as the Great Pretender. Mina Kimes is not qualified to cut the grass on an NFL field, but somehow ESPN thinks that she is qualified to analyze the league because she grew up watching it with her daddy on television. For his first few years at ESPN, Ryan Clark was dedicated to doing his job as an NFL analyst. Now, unlike Mina Kimes, Ryan Clark is actually qualified for this position because he did have a nice career in the NFL. He's not a Hall of Famer, but Ryan Clark had a great career. Although he was good at his job as an NFL analyst, there was one tiny problem. Ryan Clark was not getting noticed. He wasn't getting the masculine attention from lonely men on social media that he desired. So what did he do? 10 years ago, Meg Rapinoe, the inspiration of prepubescent boys across America, 10 years ago, Meg was in a similar predicament. She was winning World Cups. She was winning gold medals at the Olympics. She was dominating the NWSL, which is some doofus soccer league that no one's ever heard of. On the field, Meg Rapinoe was dominant. But dominating a sport that no one is watching was not fulfilling Meg's dream of becoming a huge star. Her minimum wage salary in the NWSL wasn't helping Meg accomplish her dream of becoming wealthy. Around 2016, 2017, maybe 2018, Meg violated the woke commandments by committing cultural appropriation. She noticed that Colin Kaepernick was establishing a lucrative career by kneeling for the national anthem and disrespecting the military. Colleen was receiving offers from Nike. He was receiving Netflix specials. He was writing books for the children. Hey kids, it's me, Colleen! Join me on my latest thriller as I explain how I looked in the mirror one day and discovered that I was the same color as the black crayon. This book has plenty of shits and giggles. With Colin Kaepernick becoming wealthy by exploiting his own culture, Meg Rapinoe decided to emulate his strategy. She started kneeling for the national anthem. She claimed to be the ultimate victim. She blamed toxic masculinity and mythical misogyny for the NWSL being a huge embarrassing failure, instead of blaming the real reason, which is the NWSL product, is the drizzling shits. Now, to her credit, this adopted gimmick from Meg Rapinoe, it actually worked for a little while. For a period of a few years, the Megster achieved her dream of being a mainstream star. But as is always the case, Meg's gimmick as the ultimate victim, it eventually became stale. Today, she has a podcast with her wife, the Sue Bird, that no one watches or listens to. Meg tries to be controversial. She tries to generate attention. She advocates for Dickie Smalls to be allowed to play in the WNBA, but no one cares because no one is listening. Meg Rapinoe is a fallen star. Couple of years ago, Ryan Clark adopted a similar gimmick. Instead of being Ryan Clark, former NFL player and current NFL analyst, he became Crying Ryan Clark, associate pastor at Woke United Methodist. He began preaching passionate sermons about the plague of mythical racism. He used the ESPN platform to shed tears over fabricated stories of racism that never happened. And to his credit, one of the reasons Crying Ryan adopted this gimmick, he knew it would be damn near impossible for ESPN to fire him. He knew the white executives at the worldwide leader in woke who wake up every morning atoning for their white guilt. He knew their white guilt would never allow them to fire someone belonging to a marginalized group. But unfortunately for Ryan Clark, his gimmick has become incredibly stale, and with Mike Tomlin actively looking for work in sports media, this is the perfect opportunity for ESPN to fire Crying Ryan. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. If you have been subscribed to the channel for a while, please double check for me and make sure that you are still subscribed. I have been receiving reports from some of my viewers and also from some of my colleagues here on YouTube. For some reason, people seem to be unsubscribed to channels involuntarily. I don't know why it's happening, so please just do me a favor and check and make sure that you're still subscribed. Also, I've had a lot of you guys ask me about Chewy, my oldest Yorkie. For those that don't know, we found out just the other day that Chewy has mouth cancer. Yesterday, we were finally able to get an appointment with an oncologist. From my understanding, it's one of the top cancer hospitals in the country. Since we were able to catch the cancer so early on, we are hoping that they're going to be able to treat it. We'll know more in a couple of weeks, but I appreciate your prayers, and I appreciate all of you guys who have asked me about her. Monday night, the Steelers got their ass kicked by the Texans. It was another in a very long line of first-round playoff exits for Mike Tomlin. Following day, Mike Tomlin announced that he was quitting. Now, me personally, I think Mike Tomlin got fired. The fan base in Pittsburgh, they have been out of patience with Mike Tomlin. The Rooney family, which owns the Steelers, they're not known for publicly firing head coaches. Hell, they're not known for firing head coaches, period. In my lifetime, the Steelers have only had two head coaches, Bill Cowher and Mike Tomlin. At minimum, I think Mike Tomlin's departure with the Steelers was amicable, but more than likely, I think he was politely asked to leave. Either way, Mike Tomlin is no longer coaching in the NFL, and he's looking for a job. Several networks are interested in hiring Mike Tomlin. But to me, this is the perfect opportunity for ESPN to eliminate one of their biggest problems. ESPN is allergic to firing deacons and parishioners at Woke United Methodist. ESPN is absolutely terrified to fire anyone belonging to a marginalized group. Supposedly, Elle Duncan was a problem for years behind the scenes at ESPN. Not only did they not fire Elle Duncan, they gave her a damn show. Now, of course, the show was a huge embarrassing failure, and Elle Duncan ended up dumping ESPN for Netflix. But ESPN doesn't typically let go of people who are baptized and born again in the woke faith. However, this is the perfect opportunity for ESPN to get rid of Ryan Clark without having to deal with the subsequent backlash. One of the reasons I believe ESPN is afraid to fire the marginalized, they're afraid that they'll be accused of mythical racism. A year or two ago, when Ryan Clark was negotiating his contract with ESPN, he was already playing the race card. He was already insinuating that race would be the reason if he did not receive a contract extension. But if ESPN replaces Crying Ryan with Mike Tomlin, they completely dismantled that excuse. He can't blame mythical racism because he would be replaced with another black dude. As of right now, Fox is supposedly the favorite to land Mike Tomlin. If I were Mike Tomlin, that's where I would go. I wouldn't want to work at ESPN either. But from ESPN's perspective, this should be a no-brainer. Ryan Clark is a consistent embarrassment. In the last year alone, he publicly shamed RG3, better known as Bob Griffin the Trace. He publicly shamed Bob because Bob is married to a white woman. Now, if Bob was married to a woke white woman, that would be okay. But because Bob is married to a lovely, normal white woman, that is no bueno. Back in September, Ryan Clark tried to publicly embarrass Peter Schrager. He claimed that Pete was not qualified to talk about the NFL because he never played in the league. But Ryan Clark has no problem with Stephen A. Smith talking about the NFL. He has no problem with Mina Kimes pretending to analyze the league. But Peter Schrager, according to Ryan Clark, his opinion is not allowed. I wonder why. Throughout football season, Ryan Clark has continued his ongoing disdain for Josh Allen. Many believe that Crying Ryan doesn't like Josh Allen because he's the white man. He blamed the Louisiana State Police for the tragic death of Kyron Lacey. He also opened ESPN up to a potential lawsuit. Luckily for ESPN, the state police in Louisiana let it go, but if they wanted to, they could have sued the shit out of the network and they would have won because Ryan Clark was blatantly lying about him on national television. You know, Ryan Clark reminds me a lot of Don Lemon. When Don Lemon was at CNN, he was a lightning rod for controversy, but the controversy never translated into ratings. Don Lemon was always generating headlines in the mainstream media, but he wasn't generating viewers. It's the same thing with Ryan Clark. Ryan Clark is constantly generating headlines, constantly generating controversy, but no one is watching ESPN to see Crying Ryan. There's a reason he has been at the network for over a decade and never been given his own show. This dude is an embarrassment. And next year, ESPN has the rights to the Super Bowl. It will be the largest audience in the history of the network. Can you really risk Ryan Clark in front of an audience, a global audience of over 100 million people? To me, this is an easy decision. Dump Crying Ryan, hire Mike Tomlin. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys tomorrow.